What up, what up? It's Talib Kweli, the BKMC. I just jumped off the porch with Dirty Glove Bastard. What love?
Hey, you heard other raps before, but kept waiting for the sun to song. Let's get it on. You ready for fight or flight? I bring the light like the one joint Collab.
Yes, sir. We right back at it, y'all. We got a special one coming at y'all today. We got my boy Talib Kweli jumping off the porch with us today. What's up, bro?
What's up, bro? We really outside.
Man, you know what I mean?
It's really cold. Y'all get people to agree to do this and sit outside? That's amazing.
I mean, the dedication, bro. You know what I mean? It's a sacrifice, man.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? That's what it's about. You feel
It's
me?
about the art, man. We sacrifice for the art.
You know what I mean? But nah, man, we long overdue, bro. It's definitely a pleasure, have you on the platform. Known you for a long time, and definitely want to be able to give our fans a chance to be able to, hear your story directly from you, you know what I mean? If they haven't heard it, you know what I mean, in some other places. But Brooklyn, Bedstuy, let's talk about that for a second. Where you're from, one of the most legendary, places within the culture, but then also just like one of the most prominent places like in the world. Can you speak on like Brooklyn and what your experience was like growing up here, bro?
Well, Brooklyn is definitely a planet with a lot of different places and vibes. Bed-Stuy is a place where I had a coming of age moment. I went to junior high school, a little bit of high school in Fort Greene, Brooklyn Tech, but a little bit of junior high school in Bed-Stuy, and I had a lot of friends out there, but I was never really residing in Bed-Stuy. I resided in Park Slope, I resided in Flatbush, I resided in Flatlands. As an adult, I spent a lot of time in Clinton Hill and Fort Greene, which is, adjacent to Bed-Stuy. But yeah, Brooklyn is, as far as New York City, is the most populous borough. It's the borough where I think it's the easiest borough in the city to be able to maybe raise a family but still have access to Manhattan. So we have a lot of diversity in Brooklyn, a lot of working class families, and Brooklyn keep on taking it.
Word. Yes, as a young man, what influenced Talib Kweli?
My parents influenced me in equal parts almost to the city, but definitely music and art and writing, poetry, movies. These are things that are heavy on my mind when I create.
Word. And your music, I've heard you speak on and shout out the Zulu Nation. Can you speak on that and how'd you get involved within that and at such a young age?
I've never been a member of Zulu Nation. I, of course, have respect for the Zulu Nation and what they were able to do, particularly in the early days of hip hop. And my lineage, in terms of my musical lineage, when you talk about Tribe Called Quest and Jungle Brothers, they came in the game under the Zulu Nation. So it's like the contributions to hip hop that the Zulu Nation has made cannot be understated. However, we cannot talk about the contributions of the Zulu Nation without speaking to what some of these victims have said of abuses they faced, allegedly at the hands of Africa Bambaataa. He's never, as far as I know, he's never been in court or charged with anything. That's why I say allegedly. But right. I think that if we have any conversation around Zulu Nation and the vast contributions they make to hip hop, we also have to address that elephant in the room as well.
Right. At what point would you say that you jumped off the porch, or in New York terms, jumped off the stoop?
Yeah, I lived in places that had porches and stoops. But for me, it was junior high school, wanted to be down with the cool kids and sit at the cool table in junior high school. And that's what inspired me to get my raps up I wanted to meet girls, I wanted to be cool. This is all ego, surface stuff. But then I got more deeper into it as I explored the beauty of hip hop as a culture. And so I think really that first spark in junior high school, wanting to be cool, led to me taking the art more seriously. And by the time I was like 15, 16 years old, I was leaving my neighborhood routinely to go to Washington Square Park and other places in the city so that I could be part of this beautiful culture called hip hop.
Word. You're an artist that I would say uses the true teamwork makes the dream work approach. And I say that like that because you've done over 10, 11 collaborative projects. Even I think when a lot of us were, have been introduced to you, it had been introduced either through Reflection Eternal, or through Black Star. Can you speak to just being open and willing, like being collaborative, with your art and all that? And was that done by design?
I mean, I appreciate that conversation because I think there's a part of me that I think it's undervalued. But yes, I'm a plug, I'm a connector of like-minded individuals. One of my favorite things to do is to make those connections. And so musically, it's a collaboration. I don't make beats, I don't sing, I don't really press buttons, but I can write a verse. But if I'm just putting out an album that just has a verse, that's a spoken word poetry album. So for me to do a hip hop album, I need to collaborate. And if I'm gonna collaborate, I might as well give all props due to the people I collaborated with. So, I mean, I'm a fan of jazz, and I think that the best jazz music happened when people who were famous and good at their craft put the ego to the side and did albums together. And so for me, I just seen you interview Diamond D. I grew up on Diamond D. It's my pleasure to do an album with Diamond D. My next album was with Large Professor. I got an album with Bun B coming. Of course, it's the Styles P album, the Ninth Wonder, Indy 500 collaboration. Of course, Black Star. Of course, Reflection Eternal. That's my foundation. But I'm always going to, even when you see an album with my face on it and that's in my name, read the credits. There's a lot of people that helped make that album. And I want to give them their props.
No, for sure. Because and speaking to, lending your platform, I've seen you do that across the board, with so many different artists. And then in scenarios where people might not even know that you're actually affiliated with the artist. I mean, I remember, and just because I was, close to all of this, but I remember when you were, working with Strong Arm Steady, you know what I mean? With Crondon, Feel the Agony, you know what I mean? Those guys. And
shout out to Strong Arm Steady, that's my guys.
Yeah, for sure. But, you've always done these collabs, I think, with people that the masses wouldn't expect for you to do, a collab with. Like, it's like, okay, how did this guy from Brooklyn find this producer from Ohio? You know what I mean? I mean, even when you were working with Kanye early, you know what I mean? Like, that was just, being up on.
Yeah, I think Kanye, I try to keep my ear to the street, and I try to, there's a myth that conscious rappers don't pick good beats. And they say that about Nas, they say that about me, they say that about certain MCs, and I feel like that's based on fear. Because clearly Nas has made some incredible records. He's worked with the best producers in the business. If we just take Illmatic alone, you gonna tell me that Nas don't know how to pick beats? And he made Illmatic? Come on, stop it, bro. Somebody lying. And the purpose behind that lie is because they scared of the conscious MC. They scared that if we get on a beat that you want, we gonna out-rap you and we gonna make your raps obsolete. So there's this thing in the culture, there's like an anti-intellectual strain. I remember Complex did an article years ago, and they, to be fair, they let me respond in the magazine or on the website when they made this article, because I took exception with it. But the title of the article was Why Conscious Rap is Condescending and Corny. And these type of things are done on purpose to sort of devalue being smart. And I feel like first of all, I feel like all MCs is nerds. You have to be really smart, just at making art in general. Right. You have to be very smart to do what we do. Even if you're a street dude, you have to be a smart street dude to make music. Sure. I feel like I've worked with some of the best producers in history. So like when you talk about Madlib, Dilla, High Tech, Kanye, I chose these beats, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like that's more in my wheelhouse. People don't expect to see me with like a Gucci Man or a Waka Flocka or somebody like that, or even like a Fabulous or a Mano, or more, even with Styles P, like we went on tour, we did that album, more to like the street aspect people, because I do a more type of academic style of hip hop.
I mean, when you did the Country Cousin song with UGK, I mean, that everybody was, really shocked by that, but then it was such a dope, right. You know what I'm saying, like collab.
And now me and Bun got a whole project together. So that's a natural, organic thing. But I think that that's done on purpose. I've been very intentional about wanting to collaborate and breaking out of and define the expectations. And I think if you're an artist truly, that's your default. If you're a true artist, you don't want to be put in boxes. and you don't want to be, you want to defy the expectations, but at the same time, you have to learn. If you do that too much, you start to lose yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to accept who you are as well.
Would you say that when Jay-Z said the line, lyrically, I would be Talib Kweli, do you think that made the conscious, did that change, the view of the conscious rapper? Did that kind of, put it in the cool, you know what I mean? Sort of,
yeah, I mean, I think that Jay-Z is at his heart a conscious MC. You can hear it in his bars through the times. His whole lyrical output is a sort of mesh of capitalism, hustler mentality, and being very conscious about his community and about hip hop. And he blends these things well. Hove is Hove, and so when he puts a stamp on you, it's an amazing thing. So yeah, Jay-Z didn't just help conscious hip hop with saying my name, but with doing records with Dead Prez and signing Kanye at the time when he was doing records with Common and Mos and Lupe and really putting that in the forefront. Jay-Z has always been a friend to the conscious community. And what people don't know is him and Beyonce behind the scenes have always put their dollars and put their efforts towards helping conscious organizations. And they're not the only ones to do that.
Word. Nah, that's what's up. How does it feel when your peers give you props and, you know what I mean, and really stand out there to, to show you love?
It feels good. It feels like I'm in the right place doing the right thing. I mean, Black Thought, that's my favorite MC, I think. And he once said to me when we was working on a record, he was like, I only rap for other MCs. I don't care what nobody else thinks. And that's a mentality that I developed just from working with somebody like him. Yeah.
Word. Doing it for someone who appreciates the art. I guess that's why they would call some of you guys your favorite rapper's favorite rapper or a rapper's rapper, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, for sure. Get By was a huge song for you. At that point in your career, what did that song do for you? Because that was that true mainstream, feel or that mainstream push or whatever. Did you see a lot of changes happening in your career around that song? Yeah,
Get By was my free bird. It changed my career in terms of the fact that I'm very much a touring artist, and I have a lot of catalog. I got 21 albums. But there's a lot of people in my crowd who don't come to see me do 21 albums. They come to see Get By. And they will keep coming forever to hear Get By. And so I have to just be real respectful of that. A lot of people don't have that, and it's good that I have that. And that was just a special moment in time and history, and encapsulated, I think, what I'm good at very well.
Yeah.
And so I think, and more importantly, that record, people come up to me and tell me that they have struggles with sobriety, and that record helps them deal with that. People have told me that records helped them quit drinking, quit doing drugs. And so that wasn't really my intention when I made the record. I was just trying to bar out and rap. I went and performed that record at some prisons, and hearing, that record I'm talking about, prison industrial complex on that record. And it was just bars until I'm actually doing it in a prison.
Wow.
Then it resonates different. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very happy about that record and very proud of it. And it feels like a member of my family.
No, that's real. I mean, it's the song is so memorable when you hear that lady's voice when it first come on, all the way to the bridge of the song, with the chanting and all of that. That song is one of the most memorable songs ever.
Thank you.
That's why I had to ask, how does it feel to have one of those under your belt? You know what I mean?
That's good.
Amazing. One of my favorite, if not my favorite project from you, is Liberation.
Thank you.
The first project that you did with Madlib, and I impatiently waited for years for y'all to collab again.
Well, did you check out Liberation 2?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So. Was very happy, that you guys, tapped back in. And I thought it was dope too that it wasn't the same sound from the first Liberation. I felt just both of you guys, just progressed with sound and didn't try to just keep in one pocket, you know, for that project. But can you just speak to like the energy, like when you and Madlib work together, because it's crazy.
Yeah, well, first I want to shout out Madlib and his family, and they become like my family, and they just recently lost their home in the LA fire.
I saw that.
And he didn't just lose his home, but people who know Madlib, they know that he's sampling vinyl, and it's based on his vast music collection and this equipment that he has, and all of that was lost. So he didn't just lose his home, but he also lost a lot of what helped him make a living. And so I encourage people to, on my Blue Sky, that's pinned right now, is the donate link, so you can donate to help Madlib's family in this time of healing. Yeah, if you're not on Blue Sky, you can go to, I'm sure you can Google, I've seen from The Guardian in the UK to all the hip hop publications, there's stories about it. So Google, you can find the donate link for Madlib to support his family. And if you are someone who appreciates hip hop, now is the time for you to pay it forward. You know, like Madlib deserves our love and attention and energy right now. But yeah, I mean, the first Liberation, he has sent me like 100 beats. I was working on Eardrum, and I was like, I can't rap on all these beats. And then I was like, well, why can't I? You know what I'm saying? So I rapped on like 10 beats. It was Christmas of, I think 2005 or 2006, I'm not sure. And I rapped on 10 Madlib beats, and I sent them to him. That's the first, it took me a week to do that. I sent it to him, I said, yo, can I put this out? He was like, yeah. So I dropped it on my MySpace. So that was just like 10 songs done in a week. We didn't revisit the songs. I didn't do the verses over. I didn't add a bunch of features. There's one feature on it from a bozo, you know what I'm saying? But we ain't gonna bring his name up, you know what I'm saying? But the second Liberation was very different. Second Liberation, as you said, it took years. I think I worked on it for 10 years. So we swapped a lot of things out. We tried things differently. We added a lot of features. We played live instrumentation on stuff. We put a lot more time and effort and energy. And then we locked in, because it's still like Madlib sending beats. I didn't really get to tap in with Madlib, because if you know, like, Madlib gives you a beat, and that's the beat. It's not like there's a bunch of like, we in the studio mixing it together. Like, nah, he's like, this is what I did. You can rap on it or you can pass. And so with this album, you know, anybody work with Madlib, they know that's how he gets down. But this how we went to Africa, and we spent like a month in South Africa and Zanzibar on the beach. If you look at the video for One for Biz, we shot that out there. The video for Nat Turner, we shot in Ghana, because I went out to Ghana with Chance the Rapper and Vic Mensa and them. Shout out to Casper Neovest and Sean Kuti. But I watched Madlib. There's a few beats on the Liberation 2 that I watched Madlib make. And so I've seen Madlib make beats, but I've never seen him make a beat and then I got to rap on it. So being there with him in the hotel rooms, we didn't spend any time in the studio making this album. This album was made on beaches and hotel rooms. Yeah.
Word. And that's interesting, because you usually hear about, you know, when these really dope collaborations come about from an artist and producer, it's usually they work, you know, they were in the studio working together and making that magic happen. So that's interesting, you know, you saying that the magic that comes, you know, with Madlib is actually like some of the separation from it. Like he creates on his end, but then he gives you the freedom to create on your end.
That's right. Word. That's right. It gives him a lot of control over that way the beats sound and feel. You know what I'm saying? It's like if he's the final say so on how it sounds, you just gotta take it as it is or not.
Yeah. Word. So I know that you were in the acting, theater, like stuff like that back in school, but like, have you considered taking that more into, you know, like doing film, doing, you know, more things like that? I'm actually surprised that I hadn't, you know, seen you over the years, like in, you know, more acting type of roles.
I've considered it. I've lived in LA, close proximity to Hollywood for a number of years. I've gone on many auditions. I've written scripts. So I've tried it. But what I learned about what I do is that I feel like for someone to do a project with me, it's gotta be based on who I am. I feel like I could definitely step up. Like if I were to be cast in some movie or some TV show, and I've been in a couple of things, but it's mostly like playing a version of myself. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm to be cast in something, I feel like someone has to take a chance and have a vision. And I don't depend on anybody to take a chance on me to have that vision about myself. So I feel like I stopped really putting effort into trying to audition and trying to be like, hey, look at me, let me in your movie, and put more in terms of like building my label, Javotti, and building media companies to whereas if and when I do feel like putting stuff out, it's stuff that I do and I control. My man Chino Chase is over there. We're working on a documentary about my experience with Madlib. And so that's not like a fiction, that's not like me acting, but it's still me jumping into the movie world and the film world, just on a more independent level, just taking the control into my own hands. I feel like once I do that, once I show people what I can do, people will be more willing to take a chance with me on that front.
Right, nah, for sure. You and Dave Chappelle have a great relationship. You know, that's known. But what a lot of people don't know is how long you guys have had a great relationship. The fact that he was on the intro of your first album.
Yeah.
You know, and that it's not, you know what I mean, like new age, you know what I mean, friends through like popularity and things like that. It's, you know, real friendship. But can you just talk, can you just speak on, you know, like your guys' relationship? And, you know, I remember like the Block Party DVD that had come out some years back, and, you know, you guys were really influential in that. But can you just speak to, you know, your guys?
Yeah, well, I'm a fan of comedy and a fan of film and TV. So when I met Dave, Dave started in comedy when he was 14, 15 years old. And he did very well from the time he was a teenager. So by the time he was 21, 22, 23, he was already well regarded and well known in the stand-up comedy world. He had a couple films under his belt, you know, a couple of TV things. So he was on his way up. He became a global star after that. But when I met him, he was already famous enough that I was like, yo, I had a lot of respect for what he put down in the game, from, you know, Half Baked and his, you know, Nutty Professor, Killing Me Softly, things like this were just starting to bubble. And we became good friends because he really loves the style of hip hop music that me and my crew do. So whether it's Black Star, The Roots, Common, this type of thing is what he really feels like is his favorite music. So God bless him, because when he got real big with the Chappelle Show, became a cultural phenomenon. Remember, we were all tuning into the Chappelle Show as a nation. You know what I'm saying? So when that became what it was, Dave used his platform to put us on that platform. You know, the first musical guest on Chappelle's Show was Mos Def. I think I might have been the second or the third. Out of the seasons, I did 3 episodes as a musical guest on Chappelle's Show. That's more than anybody. So he's very integral to people knowing who I am and to my career. And he was when we were working on Reflection Eternal, he was in the studio with us every day. That's why he's not just on the intro, but he's all throughout that album.
Right. Nah, that's what's up. I know Currency is someone that you have a good relationship with too. I know you say you had met him in New York with Dame Dash. Like I remember like you being around like DD 172 like sometimes, and like that was just a whole creative. That was just a really dope creative hub. You know what I'm saying? Back then, I remember always bumping into what were the filmmakers guys names, like
Cootie and Chike.
Yeah, those guys. So it was just a really like creative time, just in that era where artists like Currency and Big Crit and like all of those artists in that realm were blowing up or were buzzing and was here in New York. But you've stepped into the media side of things, and you have your People's Party podcast that you've had for some years now. Yeah,
People's Party hasn't been on for about a year and a half, but yeah, we did 3 years of People's Party.
Yeah,
and I'm very proud that we did 3 years of very good interviews, great content every week, every Monday. Yeah. And so that's one of the things I'm very proud of participating in.
Nah, for sure. Because I feel like you were one of the first artists, you know, in that space. And then I feel like, you know, the podcast world, you know, like where Combat Jack and, you know, people like that who were really, you know, some of the like influencers, you know what I mean, early on in that space, but you were one of the first, you know, artists that were.
Well, Combat Jack was absolutely a direct influence on me. People's Party was largely built on my respect for like Gil Noble, broadcaster. He had a show called Like It Is on ABC for years. If you Black in America, you know, on Sunday mornings, some, you had any type of woke or consciousness going on in your household, you was watching like it is. So I like the fact that Gil Noble brought black issues to the mainstream through that platform. And I think Combat Jack was the Gil Noble for us, for our generation. So, his demise was tragic and early and it was sad, but I felt like we had to keep waving that flag and to keep having that content. And, there's a lot of criticism for like podcast niggas. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people, I feel like the podcasting space has turned a lot of like previously stand-up dudes into gossips. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And I don't like that, and I don't like being associated with that. So I'm glad that People's Party, and I feel like we're gonna bring it back at some point. But what I like about People's Party is that, and I'll be honest about it. Everywhere I go in my life, all over the world, people come up to me and be like, "I love your podcast." It used to be people, "I love Get By." Then it was like, "I love something." Now it's like, "I love your podcast." Yeah. So I know that people see it and I know that people appreciate it, but our numbers didn't run up like some of these other podcasts who was just kind of like gossiping or talking about the news or the trend of the day. Yeah. And I'm proud of the fact that what we delivered was real journalism. We didn't just say we were journalists. We did deep dives. If you came on my podcast, I consumed everything you did. For sure. I listened to every album. If you was in a movie, I watched all of them. I watched all your interviews. Yeah. And so I would like to see more of that from my brother, particularly black men in the space. Yeah. Because I feel like it's too much podcasting about podcasting instead of what we need to be talking about.
No, that's real. Yeah, like everybody's getting a mic in front of their face and trying to give game and trying to, tell people what to do to be successful. It's really, people ain't even thinking about what makes sense or what is righteous. People are thinking about what's going to run up these numbers. And you get caught in a loop. When you a rapper and your style of rap is not working no more. It's not what they playing on the charts. It's not what the kids is listening to. That doesn't mean that you're not valuable. Keep making the music. But too many of these old rappers go in, and because the rap is not working out for them, they get on YouTube and now they want to be YouTubers and now your focus is drama. Now your focus is I gotta have the content, and you start affecting your decision-making process. You stop thinking about what's best for you as a man. You stop thinking about what's best for the community. You start thinking about how I'm gonna get these views. And I'm watching people say wild shit that they can't really defend, but the only way they defend it was, I went viral though. Right, and that's not the right defense. Right. Yeah. That's like somebody wearing something ugly and being like, "But it's Gucci though, it's Louis." Like,
yeah, I guess so.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, like.
That's a good, apt metaphor. Yeah.
No, for sure. How crazy is it that the message that you were spitting in the song "The Proud" is still just so relevant to today? Police brutality and racial injustice, things like that.
Well, it's not just The Proud. There's a lot of songs through my career. My focus has been on social justice through my music. That's never stopped. That's never changed. It's never going to change. When Obama got elected, more than one so-called journalist asked me, now that we have a black president, what are you going to rap about?
Oh, my God.
Because ain't racism over? These are like real questions I would get.
Did a white person ask you that?
Yeah. Oh. And to see what's happening now, the way that America responded to the first black president out of 44 at the time, was to twice elect a fascist, rapist, sexist, racist president. This man is like the polar opposite of everything that the Obamas together represent. And so the idea that, I don't do conscious music or do activism because I think that I'm going to end racism or end bigotry in my lifetime. That's not a realistic goal. It's the goal, but that's more of a macro goal. The more immediate goal is to try to make the life easier for people who suffer under this current system. They need to hear art like the art I make. They need to know that someone is thinking about them, that someone is voicing their struggle, and that helps them get through the day. It helps them get by. Yeah. So that's always been sort of my focus as an artist.
Word. Talib, why when it comes to critics and people in your comments, why you got time today?
I think people overestimate the amount of time it is for me to rattle off some responses. It don't take a lot of time. If you look at what I do, from running a label to, you know, some of the social justice stuff, to raising a family, to putting out 21 albums, to, you know, to touring, to everything I do. If you really look at my time, you will see a very little amount of it is spent responding on social media. But I think greatness always confuses the mediocre. And if you're great at something, people who are mediocre sometimes be like, how is he doing that? And it makes them feel bad about themselves instead of just learning from it. You know, I also believe that, look, we have oligarchy going on. We have billionaires, you know, deciding, buying social media and deciding what information is true and what not. You have, you know, Mark Zuckerberg taking the knee fully and capitulating to the Trump administration and saying, we're not gonna fact check no more. Like, who is hurt by fact checks but liars? But they not even think about how, the nonsense of the statements that they're making. They just trying to kiss the ring because they are in peril right now. They understand that they are targets of a fascist administration. So with all of that going on, with the fact that Elon Musk spent, what was it, 77 million or to a 270 million? I don't, he spent millions and millions of dollars to get Trump reelected. He bought Twitter, which was arguably one of the most influential social media platforms, and filtered out. They had the white guys for Kamala Harris. He banned them. Yeah. He filtered out anything that was pro-Democrat, anything that was pro-Kamala. So he made it so that Twitter was particularly geared towards the right wing, on top of the millions and millions and millions of dollars he gave to them. So you mean to tell me that online trolling is not real? And that we shouldn't address it, and that if we just ignore it, it'll go away? They won the election because they was trolling. It was a troll that won the election. Yeah. So everybody who said we should just ignore that was wrong. And I hold them accountable and responsible for what's happening. It don't mean that you have to go out and do what I do, because everybody should protect their peace. Right. Everybody has a different level of engagement, that bandwidth, you know what I'm saying? I don't expect people to do what I do, but don't tell me not to do what I do when you don't do shit. You know what I'm saying? Right. And if you just online, but you don't attach it to actual activism in the street, that's a criticism, but that's not a criticism you can make about me. You know what I'm saying? So don't bring that my way. Like, we do DoorDash, we do Uber, we do Kayak. Everything we do is, we headed towards Ready Player One right now. So if everything is online and the humans are programming the AI, like, how are we going, like, if we don't address online bigotry, we are going to just fall back into fascism. And I think that's what's happening now. Yeah. You know, when you see Facebook rolling out the AI, they rolled out a black queer AI character, and an actual black woman started questioning in the DMs this AI character on Facebook, and got the AI character to admit that she was created by a team of white men. And then she was apologizing, like, I'm not a good ally. This is a robot. Wow. Talk about, you know, she said, what's your black experience? She talking about soul food and stuff like that. It's a robot. Programmed by white men. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then this black woman was asking her these questions and got the robot to call Mark Zuckerberg a white supremacist. Because she said, don't you think it's so I'm paraphrasing, but her point was, don't you think it's erasure of us to have a team of white people create a robot instead of just platforming what we got to say, right? And don't you think that's like pandering to the white supremacist system? And the robot called Mark Zuckerberg a white supremacist, and then it deleted the robot. Wow. You know what I'm saying? So these are real things that are happening. So when people tell me, oh, don't engage, just ignore that. You creating a safe space for fascists when you do that.
Yeah, because it's almost like when you look the other way, I mean, that's just as bad as being involved.
Yeah, racism never gets solved by silence, ever, or by looking away. You don't solve it that way. You might make life more convenient for yourself, but you don't solve it that way.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I feel like things like that don't change until it's something like really drastic. But it's like, you know, when or what would that drastic thing be that us black folks could come together and do? That's the, you know.
You would have thought it would have been a riot at the Capitol from a bunch of Nazis and KKK motherfuckers. You would have thought that would have radicalized us. But we not together as a community. or as a nation, we're not. And I think that's what we need to focus on.
Yeah, I think I saw Godfrey talk about that, where he said like he was talking to some international guys, and they were talking about like, you know, black people can't even organize crime. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it was, yeah, no, that was just interesting. But what do you do, you know, within your community, within your circle, like to just be making sure that, you know, everybody around you is enlightened and, you know what I mean, just aware of what's happening around us, and not sitting ducks, you know?
I saw you interviewing Chip Fu, and I like what he had to say about having a circle of 5 people that you depend on. I definitely have that. So when he was saying that, I relate to that. But beyond that, we check on each other. We move on code, and we share information. We try to be, several group chats from my friends to my family. We always post the links to share information. And we argue sometimes, but it's about the sharing of the information and constant building and destroying of toxic energy and ideas as well. Just the building and the destroying.
Word. Your most recent project with J. Rawls, Confidence to Know. Kind of take us back to like the, you know, like the town bombing, like raucous, you know what I'm saying, times. How did that come about? Like, why did you guys decide to, you know, do a project together?
J. Rawls, one of my favorite people, one of my favorite producers. He produced Brown Skin Lady on the Black Star album. And then from there, he took his career many different heights and places. But he's also an academic. He's a professor at the Ohio State University. J. Rawls has been sending me beats for years. And I just been collecting them. But I wasn't rapping on him. He was working with an artist named Talin that I actually put him in touch with. We're gonna work with her to Javotti, and I was sort of helping curate some of the beats that he was sending to Celine. And some of those, I was like, put this one I'm gonna rap on this one. Yeah. To the point where I had so many that I was like, this is a project. So, you know, we still working on a Celine project that's coming out in March. But me and J. Rawls put something together so quickly that we was like, yo, the world gotta hear this.
Wow. Nah, that's what's up. And can you speak on Javotti, your label, and you know, the artists that you have on the label?
Yeah, shout out to Javotti. I mean, Javotti music is for me to be able to put out. Javotti Media is for me to be able to put out my music and whatever I want to put out. One of the first, if not the first, Javotti projects that we ever put out was Corey Mo album, Take It or Leave It.
Yes, sir.
And that's around
shout
time
out Corey Mo.
You know, we was hanging out.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Corey Mo. We have a Javotti compilation coming that Corey Mo's a part of, because that's still my guy.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
And it's named after my grandmother. We've done a lot of projects. Most of the projects are my albums, but we've done a lot of work with Nico who's here now. Yeah. His album is coming out through Javotti. He's doing an album with J. Rawls. He got albums with Junie Ali that we've done through Javotti with Thanks Joey. So just, you know, it's a home for like-minded creatives to be able to release music and whatever we want to release. We might do films, art, whatever. We sell books at Quality Club. It's all of that.
I was just about to ask you about the book club, because I remember you guys had a brick and mortar.
We did.
Back, you know.
Shout out to Leothi Miller Owens, who started Inkiru Books, and her mother, Miss Miller. I used to work for them, and then Yassine Bey and I ended up buying the bookstore.
Wow. Yeah. Nah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Gorilla Monsoon rap. I just want to like go through just a couple of classics, a couple of, you know what I'm saying. Do you remember recording that song?
Yeah, when I met when I met Kanye West, Gorilla Monsoon rap might have been the first beat he played me.
Word.
Like he came to my session, he was looking for Mos Def to play Mos Def some beats, and I was like, well, he not here. Yeah, play me some beats. And I think he played that one first. I think he played Good to You in that session.
Yeah.
I didn't hear Get By till later, but he played I think Good to You and Gorilla Monsoon.
Word.
And I was like, I want those. And that's Kanye on the hook. A lot of people don't know that that's Kanye on the hook of that.
Yeah.
He wrote that hook. No, he didn't write that hook. I wrote that hook.
Huh.
He wrote other things. I wrote that hook. But he wanted to be on that song, and remember Kanye, people didn't know him as a rapper.
Right.
So I was like, you can't be on a song with a verse with me and Pharaoh and Black Thought yet. You have to get to you know what I'm saying? Like, you just brand new in the game.
Yeah.
But you could be on the hook.
Yeah.
And so that's what that song, how that happened.
Yeah, nah, I could dig it. And being a big wrestler.
And I was like, I'm gonna write the hook.
Yo, being a big wrestling fan, I just remember that song.
Yeah, Gorilla Monsoon. Nico was just showing me a documentary about Gorilla Monsoon.
Oh yeah. Legendary.
I mean, really, Pharaoh says it in his verse. And Pharaoh's a big wrestling fan, but I don't know if he was talking about the wrestler or talking about the storm. But he says Gorilla Monsoon rap, and I was like, that's the name of the record.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pharaoh.
Ah, word. What else you working on, bro? What else you got coming up that you excited about?
The Large Professor album, the Javotti compilation, the Bun B album, Nico's album, Celine's album. We're gonna have a big year. 2025, we are releasing the floodgates, and we are coming for what's ours.
Wow. There's an artist that's been featured on some of your last few projects. I think her name is Diani, okay. Yes. Is she one of your artists? Because she's really dope. She stood out on these last few projects.
I agree that she stood out. That's my daughter.
Oh, word.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, Diani, we're gonna be releasing music through her as well.
Okay, yeah.
She don't always want to release her music with pops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try to get a Javotti album out of her this year. But yeah, she do pull up and be throwing verses on the projects.
Word. Okay. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you got to know her as a fan before knowing her as my daughter. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
for sure. I just heard her like on a couple of joints and it stood out, and I was like, I'm gonna make sure to to ask you about her. Word. You got any shout outs you want to give, bro?
Oh man, shout out to the world.
Yes, sir. Nah, man, it's all love, bro. Man, Talib, appreciate you jumping off the porch with us, bro.
Thank you, brother.